Inside Texas Live in Arlington, Texas, it's the 2026 official United Athletic Conference kickoff. I'm Kendra Sheehan alongside Byron Anderson, and we have the Chief Executive Officer of Unison Sports, Jeff Bacon, here. And this is a brand new year for the Unison Sports, the first of its kind, and a new makeup for the United Athletic Conference and the UAC. Can you describe what this past year has been like as you guys have unleashed this new model?
Well, I found myself referring to it as self-inflicted COVID because we've just sort of created chaos, but in a really good way, right? I mean, what we've done is we've brought two historic conferences together in a way that's never been done before. We built a support structure behind those two conferences, Unison Sports, which has never been done before. And throughout that, we've created all kinds of value and new opportunities. I'm really excited about what's ahead as much as anything. And I'm really excited about what it means for us from a football perspective, because now we're bringing a multi-sport conference powerhouse, if you will, behind football to help support UAC football in a way that we've never been able to do before. And that's what these guys deserve.
Let's talk about the 2026 season. And obviously, you know, every year it seems like in this conference that we've had has been kind of a springboard for the next year. How has last year and the success that you had, you know, you have two teams that make the FCS playoffs, two teams that beat FBS schools.
Right.
There are only 4 teams in the whole nation in the FCS that beat FBS. Half of them come from the UAC. How does that build in 2026?
You're stealing all my talking points.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know? No, you're right. I mean, the stair step, if you will, that we've seen in this league over the last several years is, I think what you're hearing today is a lot of excitement for this year because we keep getting better. You talk about 2 teams in the playoff last year. I'll be honest, we should have had 4. And frankly, if West Georgia was eligible, we should have had 5. And that's almost the entire league at that point. So that's how good we are. And that's a huge credit to our campuses, our presidents, our athletic directors, obviously our coaches and our coaching staffs and our student athletes, but the commitment that we see in this conference at this level, especially to football, I'd argue is as good, probably better than anywhere else in the country. You see that on our campuses now with the infrastructure that's taking place. We got 2 new stadiums coming online here in the next 12 months or so. That's not happening other places, right? So just one small example of the commitment that our schools have made to football, and I'm excited for the year because I think we've been the 3rd ranked conference or so the last couple of years. Well, it's time for us to be number 1.
Absolutely, and you look at the program that we just previewed, West Florida, you bring in a Division II powerhouse. They've only had a program since 2016. The success they've had is amazing. What does that do for the league when you bring in a team like West Georgia? West Florida, excuse me.
Yeah, it's exactly the kind of member that we want to be a part of this. And I think that's why we're really excited about West Florida being here, and that's why they're really excited to be here too, because they fit our mold, right? They want to win. They are invested in football and in athletics on their campus holistically. They're building a brand new stadium that'll come online next year. And so that's what we're looking for. We want people that want to compete. I mean, this is a tough league. So you better be ready every Saturday because these games aren't automatic, and we're going to send multiple teams to the playoffs. Again, I really do think a national championship is in our future at some point. And so to bring in a school that has a national championship in their pocket already is pretty neat.
You talked a little bit about the FCS playoffs and you know, the conference's part in it. When you look at the playoffs, what do you think the current state of the FCS playoffs is? And is there need for progress like, you know, they're making at the FBS level in different areas?
Yeah, you know, like anything, there's a lot of good about the current playoff, and a tremendous amount of credit to the NCAA staff, to President Baker, to Ty Halpin, who we'll shout out here, and what they do to put on a really high-quality playoff. And I would argue last year's national championship game, at least in my career, is one of the greatest events I've seen. It was spectacular. Now, is there room for improvement? Yes, there definitely is room for improvement. And what I would call out directly is the need to better monetize the value behind that championship. One thing that has not been executed at a high level in the past is driving revenue, driving eyeballs, driving ticket sales, really marketing. I mean, we're talking about football, guys. We're talking about college football. And that should be a driver for us. And right now, in a lot of ways, that playoff is not. It's bundled into a TV agreement with a whole heck of a lot of other sports. My personal belief is it would have a lot more value if it was a standalone media rights agreement, right? We're really what's the word I want to use? Handicapped or handcuffed, I guess is probably the word, in our ability to sell sponsorships and partnerships into that championship right now, because that's been historically tied to a basketball deal. Well, if we can separate that out, we can probably build a lot of partnerships behind that playoff. So I think there's room for improvement. There's a lot of conversation about that. There has been a lot. I'm sure it will continue. But overall, great championship, great thing for our schools to be a part of, but we always got to look for ways to make it better.
With this Unison Sports being the first of its kind, bringing two conferences together, where else do you see room in the college landscape for more collaboration?
Yeah, collaboration right now is the key, and I think we've talked about this before, Kendra, where, if we all sit still, things are going to change around us, and we're going to become reactive. And from my experience, that doesn't lead us down very good paths, right? So working together helps us unlock new opportunities. Now, we've proven that, right? That's been a theory for a long time. Hey, if you bring conferences together, maybe you can create more value. Maybe you can reduce some costs and overhead. Maybe you can get better games on your campuses. Well, that's what we're doing. And so we're proving that the more we work together, the more value that we create and the more opportunities we can create for our student athletes. So we've got to do more of that. Now, there's a lot of conferences out there, including ours, that are continuing to have conversations about creative ways. It doesn't mean we have to do exactly what we've done with Unison Sports necessarily, but we've really got to think about our future together, especially 3, 4, 5 years from now, when a lot's going to change around us, and now's the time for that.
Speaking of changes that we've had in last year, the NCAA has come up with a number of rule changes. One of those rule changes is the 5-for-5 rule, where no matter when you start, your clock is 5 years to play 5 years. Can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on that ruling and any of the other ones? They specified some of the gambling rules as well, and also changed some of the targeting rules for this season as well. Any of those things stand out to you?
You give me all kinds of options here.
Yeah,
where do I want to go?
Hey, you're the commission. You got to pick.
Well, the 5-year eligibility model, I think from a long-term lens, is a good thing. It likely reduces lawsuits. Again, in the long term, it's not doing that today, but hopefully in the long term. I think it brings clarity and consistency to the system. There's certainly some downsides to it if I'm a student athlete, because as soon as I turn 19 or graduate high school, my clock starts. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I can do nothing for a year. My clock is running. So I think student athletes that are in our leagues now need to know that. High school student athletes that are aspiring to play Division I sports need to know that. That clock just starts and it runs. I think something we don't talk about, we don't talk about this a lot when we talk about this new change, is, at least from my perspective, it's really tough to go to games. I'll go to a football game and I'll watch 18, 19-year-olds that are trying to compete against 26-year-olds. And I'll be really direct. I think that's a safety issue as much as anything. From a physical maturity standpoint, there's a big difference between an 18-year-old and a 26-year-old. So I think there's a safety aspect to that rule that's going to help us. I think our student athletes are going to have a more level playing field moving forward. So I think it's a good thing if we can. Now we just got to actually do it. Now, as I've told you before, we got to follow the rules. We'll see if we can do that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jeff Bacon, for all the insight as we move forward and forge ahead to this new era of college athletics. When we come back,